Put down your baby and pick up a beer. Dad Jokes is back with a brand new episode. I'm Jerry, joined here as always by Brandon, and you're listening to the podcast of two dads going through the journey of fatherhood while you all get to sit back and listen to us do it. And right now, Brandon, this week's topic is anyone who's got older kids probably can appreciate, but we're going through that journey of potty training at the same time. But we're going to get into that a little bit later. Before we do that, Brandon, what's going on, my friend? How are you?
Well, you said a lot while you said a little. We're smack dab in the middle of potty training, and for some reason we did this when we had a 3-month-old baby at home. So that's what's up right now. But
I think this is one of those things.
Dad joke?
Well, you know what? I'll give us a dad joke, but I was going to say, I think this is one of those things they say there's no good time, and they're probably right, because if you look back, like, when would have been a good time? Who knows? But we'll get more into that, like you said, but I'll start with a dad joke today.
Not
I just
now.
saw this. Yeah, anytime but now would be good. I just saw this, Brandon, like 5 minutes ago, and I thought it was a great one, so I got it on here. But are you ready?
I'm waiting with bated breath.
All right, here we go. Brandon, what does a cloud wear under his raincoat?
What does a cloud wear under his raincoat? Thunder shorts?
Thunderwear.
Why did I not think
I
of
don't
that?
know. You thought of the harder part
man.
with thunder.
Yeah.
Thunderwear. I thought that was
okay.
clever.
Well, I was halfway there.
You were halfway there, so that's all right. That was
I'm
all
away with
right.
myself now.
But what else has been going on, Brandon, other than obviously what we're going to get into today with potty training? How else has been the Banks household this last couple weeks?
So a couple things that coincided with that. Obviously, we have a 3-month-old now, which is crazy in and of itself. I'm gonna be saying this for the next 18 years, I guess. But this KJ is super sweet. I don't really know. I don't have any complaints. The kid is generally happy. He sleeps pretty well. The only time he's really upset is if he's sleepy and can't go to sleep or is hungry, and that's pretty reasonable if you ask me. So we hit the baby lottery with this one so far. Now we're coming up on 4 months. I need to go back and listen to some episodes. I just feel like Bryce was harder as a baby, but Bryce was generally happy too. But KJ is really easygoing. Kelsey went back to work this week, so on Tuesday she went back to work. So add that to the list of things as to why this isn't a great time to be in the middle of potty training. But so my parents are now watching both Bryce and KJ during the day, which I think my mom has found her new best friend.
Oh, yeah?
She started off as Bryce's favorite for a long time. Then it kind of transitioned to my dad for a little while, and then they went on a trip right around the time he was 1. And when they came back, she was the new number 1. Now she doesn't have to worry about any of that because she got KJ. Bryce is always around with Pawpaw. So they have fun with each other. And KJ's like the baby that you take around. And we were at, I know you're gonna get into it, but Avery's birthday party, which is something else we've done recently. And one of our friends, she came over to grab KJ and was worried that he's gonna start crying. We can both pretty comfortably say, hey, you're really good. You got a good chance he's not gonna do anything but smile and laugh at you. So, and that's what he did. So we that's not always the experience, but this so far, knock on wood, there's really not anything to say. KJ's really good.
Would you say, Brandon, that with KJ, that do you feel like, he's 3 months, and when you have kids, there's nothing like kids to age you or make time go by quick, but would you think time's gone by quicker now that you have 2 than it did with Bryce, or do you think it's about the same?
There's no question. And part of it is the fact, and I just was I kind of got emotional earlier this week because we've been having some pretty long days at work. We had a thing that happened last week where we had to be ready for it, and I feel like I looked up and this kid like turned from like a baby to like a, I don't know, whatever the stage is right before they become. He seems huge to me, and it's like when you work a decent amount. This happened with Bryce at times too, but I felt like this later on, not this early with KJ. I almost feel like I'm not getting enough of like watching him grow up in these moments because.
Well, you're probably getting 50% what you got with Bryce. Yeah.
It's not even 50. Yeah, it's not even 50%.
Right.
You still working the same. Mm-hmm. But what's happened is, and this is great. Like, so I would say that the tide has turned, and I'm probably, and if we're doing the power rankings of who Bryce is like favoring, I'm probably close to number one. Like, me and Bryce's relationship is like, and it was always good, but it's like I'm his guy. Like but what it is I am on Bryce duty, for lack of a better way to put it, like the entire time I'm around, and it's like mom feeds KJ. They, especially now that she's going back to work, like it's more of a that's her baby time too. So we do it, and today I think she kind of recognized that that I was feeling a little left out of some of the KJ stuff. So I spent a ton of time with him when I got home today, but. That is something that you don't necessarily realize is going to happen, but I'm getting as much, if not more, one-on-one time with Bryce because mom's preoccupied. There's not two people to try to monopolize his time. It's really me and the babies with KJ. And then on top of that, we're going to get into this later, but you're trying to maintain a house at the same time. So
oh yeah,
that's kind of the fun part there. But so that definitely hit me this week into last week. I almost feel like I went from like newborn. You got those first couple of weeks, and I look up and this kid's 3 months old and like making facial expressions, and he's still a baby.
Yeah.
But that's
he'll be sitting up pretty soon, grabbing stuff. Oh yeah,
that's gonna be this. We're close to that. So we kind of touched on Avery's birthday party, a lot of KJ. Bryce is turning into like a little, and I know every dad thinks this, but I feel like he's turning into a little soccer star. Now, if you go to one of his soccer practices, all the like little drills that they have him do, if he pays attention to the coach, he'll do them. He'll do them okay. Like, he's not great. Like, the kid he definitely has a little like squirrel to him. Like, he's easily distracted. But the one thing he knows how to do, and his favorite part, is the races with the ball, dribbling from one end of the field to the other and scoring a goal. And that's when I turn to proud dad, because I can line him up, I'll tell him what to do, and he is out racing every kid to the end. And that ball stays in front of him. He looks like he belongs out there, which is encouraging. It's encouraging, because half the time it's like, what are you doing in some of these drills? He's like not paying attention. So a lot of fun there. Last couple things. Obviously we got Father's Day coming up. So it's a good time from the Dad Joke Squad to you guys listening. Happy Father's Day. I definitely want to say that. And the last thing with Bryce is his stutter is getting noticeably better. He still has his days, but it seems like it'll be like he'll have a bad day with the stutter, and then the rest of the week will be good, or certain words still trip him up, but it's kind of going according to plan based on what the experts said when they told us not to worry. So feel pretty good about that.
That's good. Well, Brandon, you mentioned your baby turning 3 months. My baby turned 1 recently, which is just insane. I can't believe
crazy.
She's 1. And it's funny you mentioned it's weird. We didn't talk about this ahead of time, but you kind of talking about like you looked down and it was like, oh, she went, KJ went from like a newborn to, now like a baby, if you will. Well, I feel like Avery's starting to go from that, like what you call a baby, to almost into that toddler realm. She's not like, I wouldn't call her a toddler yet, but she's starting to get into that realm where she's crawling everywhere, getting in everything, showing more personality, figuring things out. Like today she was in the bath and she like figured out like she could put a bucket of water and like dump it She thought it was like the greatest thing. It was just funny seeing her mind work. Like I remember seeing Peyton at like certain ages. Like I don't think she never knew that was a thing before. And also she was like, wait a minute, if I dip it in this water and then I pour it out, it's pretty cool. And she just kept doing it. But yeah, so she's definitely starting to get into there. But yeah, she turned 1. Her birthday was a lot of fun. I had a work meeting, but I got to leave work a little bit early. And our plan was to go to Peppa Pig World, but for whatever reason, it was like closed. So it kind of threw our plans into a wrench, or a wrench into our plans. But we ended up doing a couple fun things. But Brandon, I got to tell you the story. I haven't told you the story yet. I told you I was going to tell you a story today on the podcast because I wanted you to hear it for the first time on here. But I had one of those moments as a dad where I thought I was being clever, and it was just a total dad fail, and I'm taking the L. So we decide on Peyton's birthday, her first birthday, we got her a bear from Build the Bear, right? So naturally we got to get Avery one, and we're gonna go get her a bear from Build the Bear, which I think they have a thing where if it's like your birthday, it's like free, or it costs the age you're turning, so like $1, right?
Yeah. And
Macy's looks at me and she goes, "Are we gonna get something for Peyton?" And normally people who know me know I'm the guy who's like, no. It's not her birthday. She can live. But I actually was like, you know what? I just got out of work. We're here.
You can't do that with Peyton.
Well, I'm like, Peppa Pig World's closed. I don't want to make it a thing. I'm like, yeah, we'll get Peyton something. So I take Peyton over there, and I'm like showing her the different animals. And I'm like, what do you want, Peyton? And I'm showing her all these different ones that I think are cool. Naturally, the kid picks like the most expensive one, right? She's like, I want that one. And it's Chase.
Good job, Peyton.
From Paw Patrol. And I'm like, you want Chase? Yeah. So then I'm like, okay, I just want to make sure because she likes Paw Patrol, but she likes like Sky and stuff. She's not always big into Chase. So I'm like, okay. So I'm showing her a couple different ones. I want Chase. All right, we're going to get Chase. So we fill the animals up. Avery's filling her bear up. She's excited. We're getting all the stuff. It's at the end, and I go, here, Pate, here's your Chase. As she's getting back in the stroller, she goes, I don't like Chase. I was like, what?
Oh, man.
She's like, I don't like Chase. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I said, Pate, you put the heart in there. That's your Chase. She goes, no, that's not mine. I don't want Chase. I want Ariel. Ariel? She has a stuffed Ariel already in the stroller. And she's like, I just want Ariel. And I'm like, I just spent freaking $32 or whatever on this Chase, and this kid wants nothing to do with it. Luckily, I wasn't dumb enough to buy the clothes. So I'm trying, like, now at this point, it's like a matter of pride. I'm like trying to convince the kid. I'm trying to convince the
whole
kid.
Detroit Pistons outfit.
Oh, well, so did Peyton when she was young. But this one, like, it was about Avery. Avery's bear got a pajamas. But anyways, I'm like trying to convince Peyton, and she's like, that's Avery's Chase. And I'm like, well, I guess Avery's got 2. But it's so bad, Brandon. Today, this is a couple days later, even tonight, I'm trying to get Peyton to play with this Chase in her room. And she's like, I don't want Chase. I don't like Chase. I'm like,
she's completely out on Chase.
She's out on Chase. So I've gone from like trying to take care of my daughter because it's not her birthday. And I can tell she's kind of in her feels about it. And it just, dad just waits. She put me together. I just spent some money, and Avery don't like stuffed animals at this point, so she says it's Avery's Chase. She don't even like stuffed animals. So, we got Chase around. It's Dad's Chase. Dad's got Chase.
So let me ask you this. Was the 30-ish bucks worth not having a meltdown in the middle of the mall when you told her no to Chase? Because if you told her no, it would have been a problem.
The thing is, I would agree with you, except for I think that she like was cool with having her Ariel. I don't know. It was weird. She was actually like in a decent mood. Because if it would have been, I would agree with you. But I think I anticipated the bad mood or her flipping out, and I like caused the whole thing. But anyways, we got a Chase. Avery got her animal, her bear. She was in a good mood. And we decided to go to this place at the mall called like Kids Empire, which is like, I guess it's a chain. So maybe some of you guys have heard of it, but it's like basically a giant play area. They got like, playscapes, slides. This place is pretty cool though, Brandon. I will admit, I climbed up with Peyton to go up in the area. They have a hidden soccer field up in like the playscape with like disco lights, and you can play soccer.
That's pretty cool.
I'm like, this is cool. Like just random stuff like that. They had like a dance area, like random. I mean, so there was a lot of stuff in there. So we did that, and at first Peyton only wanted to play like a little small area. I got her doing more. Then Avery, there was a toddler area. She was having fun. I was putting her down like the little slide. She thought that was a great time. So it actually was really good. And then we got some food, got Avery some ice cream, gave her some presents, and so it was a good day. So I can't believe she's one.
I want to bring up one thing.
Okay.
I know you talking about her turning 1 and all that. And the listeners have heard time and time again, you come on here talking about Avery's behavior, angry
She's a
Avery,
tornado. She's a tornado.
And me saying, I've never seen this. She's always amazing. Like, when I say amazing, I'm talking like a perfect child whenever I see her around. Like, there was one time that she maybe wasn't, and she was sick. And she was still smiling for me. So I didn't care. But this girl at the birthday party, I've never seen a 1-year-old. You guys are doing present time. She is sitting like crisscross applesauce in a chair, clapping, smiling,
swinging.
having a great time.
She did great.
And she was great the whole time.
The funny part is she was great at the party.
I don't believe anything you say.
No, she was great at the party the whole time.
She wasn't good when when everybody left. She wasn't good.
No, she was actually okay-ish when people left. It was before people got there. And this kid, I tell you, like, her nickname is Tornado, and it's rightfully so. But she, when people are around, she's great. She always has been. And the one thing about her, I will say, even when she's mad, you can usually get her to laugh. But the kid gets angry, and even now she's in a leap. She will get mad, and she's also the only kid I've ever seen, and I'm sure there's lots of kids like this, but maybe I never was around them. She will yell, but not when she's mad even. So I can never, sometimes I think she's like mad because she will yell when she's mad. Sometimes she does it, and then she starts laughing. But like mad yells, it doesn't sound like, there's no difference between that and the upset yells sometimes, other than you can tell in her face. And she was just like today, I got home and I can hear yelling from the inside. I know it's Avery, and I'm like, great. She's in a bad mood again. I'm like, and I walk in, she's laughing. I'm like, what is she doing? She's like, she's just yelling. That's what Macy's like. She's just yelling. But she did good. And that to mention the birthday party, it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of kids, which was cool to see. A lot of kids. We had a lot of different ages.
You legitimately had like 120 people at your house.
It was a lot of people, and I definitely made me happy to have girls instead of boys, because I think the boys poured paint in the pool. The boys took the little Jeep and ran it off to the wilderness and crashed it into a pole. The boys they were crazy. They were swinging tridents over their head.
We're talking like 5 and 6 and 7-year-old boys too, though.
They were like ages from like 4 to 7, but I'm just like, okay. And the girls didn't do any of this. Although the older girls, like the much older girls, decided to drive the mini Jeep later in the day. I saw them, like the 13-year-old. I'm like, okay. But it was a good time. A lot of work before and after for it, but Avery did good. And mostly everything was great, other than it was super windy. And then my pool is now has paint all over it, thanks to the boys. But other than that, it was a lot of fun. Other quick things, like I said, Avery is in a leap now, so she's she's hit and miss, like kind of like she always is. When she's good, she's good. When she's bad, she's bad. Peyton has really been struggling with eating lately, more so than normal. She only wants to eat what she wants to eat, and like before, she would even try some things, or there's certain things I knew she would eat. She won't eat them all of a sudden. Won't even like take a bite of them, which is super hard for me. I'm struggling with that. I gotta find a better way. But she's also we're gonna get into the pie training. We've been doing a lot with that. But she's starting to like really. I mean, she's been talking amazing for a long time now. But she's starting to put like some crazy sentences together and like paragraphs almost, right? Is instead of just saying like statements, she's starting to say like crazy things every day and like obscure things that I'm like, I didn't know you knew that, or I don't remember ever saying that. And it's really cool because she says stuff every day where I'm like, okay, yeah, you can do that, or that's a good question. She started asking why a lot too, which is kind of funny. I think she's starting to get to that age. Well, why, Daddy? And I'm like, well, because Sissy's sleeping, or something, but that's fun.
When she says Daddy, does it like do something to you like every time?
Oh, yeah. She and she's
I don't
got
know
the
what it
sweetest
is.
voice
It's like
too.
power in that word, yeah, especially when they say it.
Yeah, she's got and and she's starting to pick up on things. Like today, we had a whole thing. She was in timeout, and I was mad at her because she was like refusing to eat, and she like wanted 60 other things. And I'm like, just try a bite of this, and I'll let you have this, which didn't work, by the way. Anyone who's tried that, it didn't work. But anyways, I was upset, and then she's starting to calm down. Like a minute goes by, and literally Macy goes, Peyton, tell Daddy you're sorry. And she literally like came up and was like, I'm sorry, and then gave me a hug and was like, and I'm like, okay, where before she wouldn't do stuff like that. Now she'll tell you she's sorry, or she'll say thank you, or I shouldn't do that, Daddy, or, thank you, Dad, things like that. I don't know. So she's starting to like become even older. It's, it's cool, but it's also kind of, hit your heartstrings, right? Cause she's starting to get into like a little kid. So, and then obviously with summertime, it's been fun. We've been playing outside, but it's been interesting, 2 kids, especially now that they're both mobile and can kind of interact together, is definitely, I can tell you'll get there, Brendan. It's its own challenge, keeping the house clean and everyone healthy and alive is challenging.
Yeah, all their limbs there.
Yeah, exactly. You hear screaming, yelling, crying, and you never know which one it's from or if it's someone caused it or not. And I also feel like I was the older brother and I was constantly getting yelled at, and now I just constantly yell at Peyton for don't do that to your sister. Leave your sister alone. Stop grabbing. And Peyton thinks she's being nice. She's trying to like dance with her or like hug her, but she's so like just and Avery's at the point now where she's like doesn't want it. Where before she let Peyton do whatever, now Avery's like, no, don't touch me. But Peyton still thinks that it's free game and that's just a live baby doll. And so that's just half my day is just Peyton, leave her alone. Peyton, don't. Peyton, just all day long. So, but that's what's going on with us.
That's exactly what Bryce is doing right now, and it's like the cutest thing ever because he, like, his heart's in the right place 100% of the time, but he's also a curious freaking 2.5-year-old. So
it's cute till it's not.
There's going to be he's infatuated with KJ's hands. And
they love the hands.
Baby
and like
fingers are not like that strong. Well, they are and they aren't. I'm like paranoid that he's gonna like pull his finger back or something. He's constantly playing with his hand.
Yeah,
but he loves them.
It's weird how much. They love them, and like you said, it goes from like, oh, that's sweet to oh no, real quick
in 2 seconds.
In 2 seconds, Brandon, get a piece of baby gear this week to share with everyone.
Yeah, I actually used this at Avery's birthday party. So this is a little mini potty training tip on top of everything that we're talking about. But it's called the Jewel Baby Folding Travel Potty Seat for Toddlers.
That was mine.
Jewel Baby Folding. Seriously?
Swear to God, that was my baby gear. So nice, good. 2 dad approved, 2 dad stamps.
So the first time we actually used this, I mean, we're smack dab in the middle of potty training, communicating with Bryce. He's had no accidents, knock on wood, in public, and he's had plenty of opportunities. But we took that into you guys' bathroom, set it up, like he went potty, and we did it 3 times at your house. So it worked great. It worked exactly how we needed to. It folds up, fits right. You might have been the one that told us about it. I don't know. Either you told me or we told you. Kelsey's definitely going to tell me when she listens to this part. She's going to text me and say, no, it was us.
Macy bought it, so I honestly, I don't know. She's had it for a while. We've had ours, and I didn't even know we had it until we went somewhere, and Macy's like, oh, I have a travel potty seat. And this was weeks ago.
Super clutch. It's
super clutch. We use it. We use it all the time. Yeah. And same thing, Peyton's not had accidents in public. We used it at the mall the other day. I mean, she uses it. It works well. Super easy. Another thing I'll mention, and I don't have a lot of information on this because I wasn't anticipating talking about it, but in my house when I bought it, I told you about this, Brandon, upstairs in like the kids' bathroom, there's like a built-in kids' potty seat that like folds with the lid, but it's magnetic. So like it's a normal seat, but then if you like pull the little magnet thing down, it folds into like a little kid's potty seat, but it's like permanently built into the seat, and it's the best thing ever. So, it doesn't, like, if you use it like me or you use it, it wouldn't affect us whatsoever. But for the little kids, it's super easy. You don't got to do nothing. And that's clutch. I don't know how much it costs. I don't know where they got it from, but I'm sure you can look something up. But it's clutch if you maybe are going to have a few kids and want to put it in one of the bathrooms, it's not a bad idea.
Yeah, for sure. And in general, I'd say during this time, having small, like kid-sized potties that you can put like in your, and we'll talk about our individual processes, but that you can take with you potentially from room to room, or maybe have a couple, one for upstairs, one for downstairs. That is very helpful, as opposed to like having to always go to the actual bathroom, things like that. When you're
Yep.
depending on what method you're using.
Yeah, we got an
That's
Elmo,
what I got for baby
Elmo
gear.
seat. Yeah, we got an Elmo seat one for downstairs, and Peyton loves that thing. So, but yeah, let's get into today's topic, Brandon. Potty training is something that I mean, every parent's gonna have to go through at some point in time. For some, it's easier. For some, it's harder. I know lots of people with multiple kids, and they could do things exactly the same. They're the same two people training their kids, and it can go very, very differently. So we're going to kind of talk about our experiences, because we don't want to act like we're experts, because what has or hasn't worked for us may or may not work for you. And a lot of it does depend on the kid, but there are some things that can help you out as a parent a little bit, and then also, things to maybe look out for based on our experiences. And it just happened that we both decided to kind of do potty training around the same time, even though our kids aren't exactly the same age. They're kind of in the same range, and I think we both kind of had the same thought, like, hey, it's about time, and there's it's summer, there's a holiday weekend coming up, we're going to have some more time to do it, so we both kind of started. But Brandon, why don't you start and kind of talk about a little bit your guys' experience, and kind of what was the starting point, or I guess maybe the starting decisions that went into, hey, this is when we're going to start potty training, this is why, and this is kind of our philosophy going into it, at least.
Yeah, so, I mean, really what sparked this was months ago when we started interviewing prospective preschools for Bryce in the fall, and the one that we ultimately decided to go with and got accepted into said your kid has to be completely bathroom independent for the half a day that they're here. And that's not just going to the bathroom. And this is going to sound real straightforward, but it ain't. Like, every step is different. It's not just being able to go potty and being able to say you have to go potty. It's doing it, walking to the bathroom, pulling your underwear down, pulling your pants down, pulling them back up, which sounds like it ain't that deep, but it is. Mm-hmm. And being able to wipe yourself effectively. They claim that they don't help. I've heard otherwise. So, I mean, and not every school requires this, but we're going into it with the assumption that Bryce has to be basically able to be fully functioning in the bathroom. And based on his birthday, he basically got in by one day. So he's probably going to be the youngest kid in the class. And so we wanted to get a jump start, obviously, before fall, and have some time to really go over this stuff with them. So that's kind of what sparked it. Like you said, we saw the holiday weekend coming up. We knew Kelsey was getting back to work. Ideally, we would have started it then. Neither one of us felt like we were mentally ready for it at that point, so we pushed it out a week, and we were ready. Like, we should have just done it when we said we were, and that's probably more on me than anything else. But a couple things that we're doing from a process standpoint, and we'll go into like the actual nitty gritty of everything and what we're doing after you kind of share your experience. But we are doing like a combo method between what, if you look up like methods like the 3-day method that a lot of people have been doing, but also some people go from like a sticker method. Is something that we've seen. We don't use stickers, but there is a reward associated with Bryce going to the bathroom, and it could be an M&Ms. We got a Costco thing of mini M&Ms. It also is on day one. I came up with the song with them that I dance to as well. So he knows it, Kelsey knows it, and it's basically just, he pee-peed in the pot. He pee-peed in the pot. Bryce pee-peed, and then we're dancing and going crazy, and he loves it. So that's something that he looks forward to. And so that combination of like committing to it for a few days in a row to kind of hope it sets in, and also reward every time it happens so that they're motivated to go is how we've started.
Yeah. we kind of were similar. It's funny. We definitely decided, I would say, to quote unquote start like actually doing the potty training because there was the holiday weekend and Macy was gonna have like 6 out of 7 days off in a row, so it's the most time. And I was gonna have 3 days off in a row, which like never happened. So we knew we'd have some actual time to put on it. But we actually started, if you will, or doing things like, man, months ago, 3-4 months ago. I don't know the exact time frame. It was random. Like Macy randomly bought like a little mini potty, like Minnie Mouse potty, randomly, and I'm like, why'd you buy that? She's like, oh, get Peyton interested in the potty. And I remember we put Peyton on it the first day we had it, and she went, and I was like, what? I was like, this is great, this is easy, we got this. And then she didn't go on that thing again for like literally months. But basically what we started doing is putting her on that, getting her comfortable using it, knowing what the potty was. We started getting like some books that were like Elmo potty books, or we were watching like Daniel Tiger's potty episode and different things that were just talking about it and getting her comfortable with the terms and sitting on the potty. And then it kind of went into, Macy made this like little chart where it was like with stickers, kind of like you talk about sticker method. Every time she went in the potty, she got a sticker. If she got 10, she got like a new Tony toy. If she did 20, she got a new princess dress. And we talked to Peyton about it. And we would talk about going on the potty, but we weren't really committed to it. And, Peyton would go once every couple of days. And usually, though, it was we'd put her on there. We'd wait a half an hour and she'd go potty, right? But in hindsight, it probably actually did help. Like, she got used to it and she kind of knows what it was. But at the time, she wasn't potty trained by any stretch, or we weren't really, like, committing to it. She was still wearing diapers, right? It just was like, hey, this is what the potty is. When you go potty, we're happy. We were giving her stickers. We were getting excited. And then the other thing, too, that we did from the get is, like, if she went pee, we gave her an M&M. If she went poop, we gave her 2 M&Ms. And she, like, started associating. She'd go potty, and she'd be like, I want my... And she can't say M&M, which is a great... She's like, M&M. And, like, I don't even know what she says. To this day, she can't say it. Yeah, like, she says, like the weirdest thing. I'm like... And it took me a while to, like, actually know what she was saying. But...
Bryce says it, but he doesn't get the and. He just says, I want M&Ms.
Yeah, she basically is like Eminem. I don't know what she said. I literally can't say it. It's so weird. I just know what it is now. But yeah, so I mean, we kind of started, like I said, a couple months before, but then it was finally like, hey, if we're going to do this, let's commit to it. And then we kind of did, like you said, and I'll go more details here in a little bit, but we did a variation of the 3-day or whatever you call it, where basically we said, hey, that time frame, we're putting her in underwear, not taking away the diapers, and basically we're going to put her in just underwear for the whole day and work on going to the bathroom. And if there's going to be accidents, there's going to be whatever, but we're just going to basically watch her, and we're going to go all in during that time frame. And that's kind of how we started. And then obviously with that, we've had a lot of different things, but that was kind of our beginning to the journey. So then, Brandon, after you guys kind of started, what have you experienced, I guess?
Yeah, and I do want to quickly mention, we had a similar process months and months ago, and that actually started, kudos to them, with my parents. My dad, they claim I was potty trained by 18 months. Like, this is one of those stories that, like, I hear things about my being a toddler and things that I did and like what they did, and I just it's like having toddlers, I can't even imagine trying to potty train
18 months.
18 months. It doesn't even. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. So they actually started. They got a small potty when we did as well, and they started getting Bryce interested. So we started doing it at home. So he got used to. And this was occasional. This was like once a week, kind of like you said. But he knew what it was, knew what to do. We watched the Daniel Tiger episode. And I even think he did it a little bit more in my parents' house than we even cared to, because we weren't at that point. We're like at that point we're like we weren't party training this kid right now. So ultimately, our experience so far, the first couple of days, so it's almost an opposite experience, and you're gonna get into yours, but. The pee part of the potty, no issue in the slightest. Like, he had one accident in like the first 5 6 days. And it was more our fault than his. He had just had a baba. Kelsey's parents were over, and like he kind of just got like everybody's watching him, so everybody's assuming that the other person is watching him, kind of thing. And we probably should have put him on the pot a little bit sooner. So, but what we've been doing, or what we did to start, is we would set a timer, and there you can read a lot of different things and look up stuff on like YouTube. And one thing that stuck with me in particular was, and especially in the beginning, was this. We were watching this lady. It seems like all these like all the people that you watch are like from like England or something. It's weird. It's really interesting that like the amount of like, and so you like, this is a side note, but they call like their diapers like nappies and stuff like that, which is pretty funny to me. But she mentioned a couple little quick tips, which like children at night basically don't really have a ton of control over their bladder at that point. So we still put Bryce in a pull-up. But one suggestion she had is if you're going out, putting the underwear on so they still get the feeling of the accident, and they don't like that feeling, but putting a diaper over it to kind of help protect you. So those are a couple little quick tips that I don't know when I would bring those up, so they come up now. But from a process standpoint, one thing she said that has not worked for us was if you have someone who's like in the 2.5 to 3 year old range, don't try to put them on the potty every half an hour. Your experience may end up being different. You and I haven't talked about this part of it, but put them on like every hour and a half to 2 hours. If I was putting Bryce in the potty every hour and a half to 2 hours, we'd have way more accidents than we did. So we set timers. Kelsey and I actually would text each other, even though we're in the same room generally, the exact time that he went potty. Because him going potty when we actually sit him down was never really an issue, and I'm watching him, and you can tell when it's probably easier for boys than it is girls, but maybe you'll tell me different. I can tell when he's trying, like there's movement. So you can it's almost a cheat code from that regard. And if I know he tried, I don't want this to turn into a negative experience for him. So our rule has generally been 5 minutes on the potty of trying, and we rarely get to 5 minutes. I can see that he tried. Sometimes it takes a couple minutes. I gotta like put my hand on his shoulder and actually tell him. But we really have had no issues from that regard. After a few days, he got really good at telling us, hey, I have to go sit on the pot. The trouble we've had is with poop. It's he has a tell. Like he'll go try to go into like a corner by himself. Generally, It's by the bathroom or in the bathroom anyway. Or the kid, I honestly, I don't want to embarrass him for the rest of his life. So I'm not going to post a video, but he like starts walking funny too. It's hilarious. So when he has to like poop. But the problem is you can see it coming, but in order to get him on the potty, it almost interrupts the flow. And so that's when it turns into longer time sitting on the potty with them. And it was almost fool's gold. Day one of potty training, we saw the signs, we saw where he was going, put him on the big boy toilet, not even the small one. Say, all right, go. And I kind of backed out of the bathroom, and I told him, I'm gonna give you a little privacy because that's what he generally likes. And he went poop in the potty first time. We thought we had like. We were the masters of the potty training. That was the last real time he's pooped on a big boy potty in the last week and a half, 2 weeks. Now we've had success in the small pot, but that's and I'll get into this a little bit more, but I don't want to take all your thunder either. So we pooping, and then I'd say solo parenting a 3-month-old. And while still actively watching a potty trainer are the two things that are the biggest struggles so far for us. But I'll get more into that in a little bit.
Yeah, no, I mean, you kind of alluded to it, but we've been a little bit different, Peyton, so at first, like when we started it, one of the things she got kind of upset when we started using the potty more regularly. When we actually committed to it, like she would get mad. Like, I don't want to go potty. And like you said, you got to put her on there every so often because you're like, oh, otherwise she's going to have an accident, right? So we started giving her tablet, which we don't give her like ever. And we would play Daniel Tiger like potty episode. So she like started associating Daniel Tiger with going on the potty. But then she'd be sitting there for 20, 30 minutes sometimes and going. And we started reading like that's not good. So that was a little bit of a concern. And also I'm like, well, she's just going on the potty because she wants to watch Daniel Tiger, right? But once we went to like the 3-day method, she had like an accident the first day, and all of a sudden she started like being able to go more. Like when we put her on the potty, she would actually go quicker, is what I mean. Like you didn't have to wait. And I remember like the first day, like she did pretty good. Day 2, 3, I think we regressed a little bit, and then also she started doing really good again, where we like had almost no accidents. And it started getting better because at first, like before when we weren't like fully committed to it, it would take a long time for her to go. Even if you put her on the potty, it was like almost like you just waited long enough for her to go, right? Well, she started actually being able to like make herself go, or like, you know, like someone was going to the bathroom, like, hey, I gotta go potty. She got that, and that was exciting, and she could make herself go, and we were doing really, really well. And then I remember like we went to my dad's house. And we were sitting at the table. She was eating on the chair, and she had an accident on the chair. And I was like, man, that's the first time she had an accident in like a few days. And then, but it was like, okay, you know, we were good. And then we went another few days, and she had no accidents. We went back to my dad's house for a party, and she went again on a chair. I was like, so apparently my dad's chairs are just bad news. But after that, we really started turning a corner. And she even started, this is where I got excited. She started telling us like she had to go. Because before it was like it was like she wouldn't tell us and it would take a long time. Then it was like it didn't take that long, but she still wouldn't tell us. Till all of a sudden now she would tell us and she'd go quickly. And that was exciting. And, you know, when it came to pooping, that is something that it's funny because she, since we started, had never had an accident until today. Actually, today. She had her first ever accident pooping, but she's done great with that. But part of that was a little bit weird too. Like Peyton has had issues going like to the bathroom. Like she's had some stomach issues. So I feel like she is very easy to tell when she has to go to poop. And so you would ask her, and even if she said no, like we know, I'd be like, come on, let's go try. And then she usually would go, right? So I feel like it was almost like we can always catch it. So I don't know how much of it is like, hey, she's just really good at not going, you know, but she never had until today. So it was a little bit like, hey, are we lucky or is it just because like she has some tells? Because usually even if she has to go poop, it's not like you put her on and she goes right away. It takes her a couple minutes typically. And even sometimes she like, you could tell she struggles like, and she'll get like, you know, teary eyed and stuff like that because I think, you know, quite honestly, I think she freaking just eats too much cheese and like, you know, milk and stuff like that, not enough vegetables like she needs to, you know. But so basically, you know, we've gone the last few weeks and it's very rare that she has an accident at all. And like I said, we never had a poop accident until today. It was the first time ever, and it was like a half accident. She still went on like the potty app, like it was like just, you know, I think Macy just caught it too late. But she's done really well. The only thing that I think that we still really need to work on is I think sometimes if she's having fun or if she's in the middle of something, you know, and then you're like, I don't know that she would tell us she had to go. So sometimes if it's been a while, you know, we'll just take her and we'll be like, hey, let's go. It's been an hour and a half. The one thing I will say, and we didn't know this was a tip, Brandon, you were mentioning it like every half an hour. Early on, we did a lot. Now, like legitimately, we still take her if she hasn't gone, but usually it is an hour and a half, 2 hours. Usually if it's like, it's been an hour and a half, it's been 2 hours, we're like, okay, let's go if she hasn't told us. So it's not like she tells us every time when she has to, but usually she won't go, like she won't go in her pants. So then it's like, hey, it's been a while, let's go. And then she goes right away and and we're all good. So, it's not like she's full potty trained, but she hasn't had a lot of accidents. None in the car seat, none in like public really other than my dad's house. and then very, very few in the house. And we do use pull-ups at night because we read the same thing, that they can't really control it. And we use pull-ups at her nap, although she doesn't always go during nap. But we, even in the car, we don't use pull-ups or anything, which I thought at first was dumb personally, but it so far, knock on wood, hasn't burnt us. So that's kind of where we've gone.
The only time we'd actually use a pull-up in the car, occasionally in the morning, especially if I'm like rushing or something like that, taking my parents' house. It's always the diaper first, then the pull-up. But if he didn't go on the pot, like he might have just went in his diaper, and you don't necessarily know when they just went in their diaper overnight.
Right.
So there's been a couple times where in this first week, actually it's been one time where I put him in a pull-up because I didn't want him getting to my parents' house and their first experience is him basically having an accident on their floor. But generally that's not been an issue for us. He's been really good overall, and just like for everybody listening, accidents are gonna happen. Like,
yep,
you gotta come to terms with it, and you have to set yourself up for success. So we have basically potty pads that we can put on the couch if he's on the couch. We really used that the first few days. We haven't used it since. He had an accident a few days ago, and the problem, I was closing at work, and Kelsey was by herself watching both of them, and he had pulled a couch cushion down, one of the back cushions, and was here's another thing. I'm gonna kind of jump around a little bit in some of my observations or tips. I don't know how Peyton is, but this little boy has discovered his private parts. Now that he isn't wearing a diaper for 90% of his day. And so he's apparently straddling the couch cushion on the ground, and Kelsey had said, "Hey, stop, yada yada yada," and he had an accident on the cushion. So this was yesterday, and then today he had another accident. So these are really the first two that he's had in a couple weeks, and some of it is from a parent perspective. You're are we doing? It's been a couple weeks. Are we doing something wrong? What changed? And today, if I'm looking at it, I was watching KJ. Kelsey was kind of cleaning the kitchen up a little bit. I absolutely could have paid a little bit more attention, but you also got to understand this is gonna happen.
Right? They're 2.5. They're kids. It's
100%.
gonna happen. It's probably gonna happen for months, if not years. They're gonna have accidents from time to time.
And if it ain't in here, it's gonna be in the bed
right.
a couple months or a couple years. So, but how you react in those situations is crucial, because you don't want you don't want anything that's happening natural in the body, in my opinion, to have fear associated with it, because that could lead to a bunch of other issues. If for whatever reason, we have a friend who their kid had a bowel issue because, and this had nothing to do with their parenting or anything like that, for what it's worth, or them reacting, but they got to a point where they got afraid when they went potty, and that's not completely uncommon. Some kids are afraid to go potty in the big toilet because the water might splash up and hit them. They're just not used to certain, or some kids feel like it's literally a part of their body, leaving them, and they can't comprehend what, and then you flush it down the toilet. So just if you stop and think about just what's actually happening, and we take it for granted because we've been doing this for 30 years, but it is something new. They're not used to it, and everyone has to adjust. So how you react in those situations is crucial. I mentioned briefly that Bryce is struggling with poop. He has the telltale signs. We're right every time when we think he has a poop. It's coming. Right. And some of the things that I know we're talking about potty. So some of this is gross. He successfully pooped in the potty today. And then you think he's done. There's more coming. I went and dumped the poop. He's sitting, and I'm thinking we good. I went and dumped it. I come back outside, or come back to the main floor, or outside the bathroom, excuse me. And he's sitting there looking at what had to be the longest turd I've ever seen in my entire life. And he looked at me and said, "What's that?" I'm like, I ain't do it. What you
tell me.
Yeah. So you have to, like, you got to be ready for almost anything. So that was one. You got to be ready for anything, and that's one of the actions he had. And I know you probably keep looking like, I keep actually hitting my space bar as I'm like expressing myself and talking, and I keep muting myself for like 3-second stretches. So, well, I'll end up fixing that. But ultimately, you gotta kind of roll with the punches. A couple things we've done from a process standpoint, we use M&Ms, similar to how Jerry explained it. So he gets an M&M if he goes to the potty. We do a pee-pee on the pot dance or you poop dance. For poops, so Jerry does 2 M&Ms. For poops, he gets what we call a special cookie. It's really just like an Oreo thin. But that tends to get him to try. Pooping has been a struggle for us, man. Like, he will, it seems like he still has to, like, stand to get it really out. Like, and that's when we spend the most time on the potty. So, like, we're catching it at the right point. We are getting him to the toilet. We're getting him to the pot. And he's trying. Like, I have no doubt he's trying. And we can sit there and wait. It is uncommon at this point for him to actually go away sitting down. He has to, like, have, like, a little short, like, stand going on to get it to go out. And sometimes we can help him out with that. So kind of know your kid. Obviously, they gotta sit to go. I've done show and tell with him. So when I go potty, at this point, the show and tell has been sitting down. We haven't graduated to standing up. We kind of want him to get the process down first before we start working on aim, because that's going to come with its
almost everything
challenges.
says sitting down is where you want to start. You know, you definitely read that. The other thing too that I read, Brandon, I don't know if you read this, but almost everything says, like, if you take diapers away, don't ever give them back for any reason. Like, the pull-ups are different. Obviously, but
we never put them in a diaper again.
Yeah, don't put them in a diaper, because if you do that, it will be the end of the world from what I read, and we haven't done it. So, but it basically says once you commit to taking them away, make sure you're ready to take them away, because you should not go back. So, that is
a weird tip to me, though, because what's the difference in a diaper and a pull-up from a feel perspective with the kid? That it always struck me as a weird tip.
I think, the pull-up thing is, like, they're going to their nap, and if they know, like, hey, I'm taking a nap, that, or I'm going to sleep, then it's whatever. But, like, if it's during the day and they know that diapers are an option, then they just aren't going to, basically they're going to not be committed, because they're like, oh, I have the option to go back to diapers. It's kind of like the binky thing, right? If I cry enough, I can get it back, type of thing. That's what I got out of the tips. Another thing, the weird thing too, Brandon, that you mentioned, like, the little potty. We had one first, and Peyton, since we started doing potty training, like, Foley, she never uses it ever. She'll use the toilet upstairs, toilet downstairs, but it's always the big potty. And she's got, like, a little seat we put on it, obviously, or the one upstairs, like I said, has the built-in one. But she only uses the big potty. We have a little step stool, and so that's a good thing for us, because it's not like she's. I mean, quite honestly, it's a lot easier. You don't have to clean it. So I like that. As far as wiping goes, we all know wiping is not easy. She will wipe every time. She's not good at it, but she will do it, which is good. So, like, obviously we, like, help clean up, but that's probably the next area we really have to work with her on. Like, hey, this is what you need to do. Same thing with washing her hands. She knows to put the soap on, and her washing her hands is, like, literally, like, moving them side by side onto the water, but, like, she almost, like, doesn't like to rub her hands together. It's weird. So I, like, have to, like, make her rub her hands together. But those are things, like, if you're sending your kid to school, you want to be able to do it by himself. So we're definitely working on both of those things a little bit more. But like you said, Brandon, it's continually doing it. A lot of times they say, like, habits, like, if you have a schedule, like, hey, first thing in the morning, we always go potty. Right before bed, we always go potty. Right before we eat or after we eat, we always go potty. And then we always wash our hands this way. You always get an M&M. You always get, praised when you go potty. If you make it kind of like a habit or consistent, that's a good thing. I remember Peyton, when we were first doing this, sometimes she'd get upset going in the potty. She'd start peeing, and, like, mid-pee would be like, I want an M&M. Like, she's not even done yet, and she's already, like, associated. Like, I'm doing it now. And I'd start laughing, like, okay, you'll get one. Let's just finish first. But I think
every single time Bryce does it, he says, I know he's done it because he says, "Good job."
Yeah, you just want.
I don't even really have to watch.
Yeah, and the other thing too, Brandon. The last thing I kind of will say, and we both hit on this. Talk to any parent who had kids that's potty trained. You're gonna have regressions. It's normal. You're gonna have kids that you think have it down, and then they're gonna have an accident, or you think that everything's perfect, and they have 3 or 4 days in a row that are bad. You just stick with it. You keep doing what you're doing, and then before you know it, they'll be good to go. But the other thing too is, like you said, they're 2.5, or whatever age they are. They're young. It's not like they have adult bladders, so. Some of it, too, is being diligent and knowing, like, hey, my kid hasn't gone in a while. We should probably figure it out, especially when you're in public, because that's a little different. Like, if they're at home, hopefully they tell you, but if you're in public, they might not know what to say or what to do. So, all in all, we'll keep touching base on this. I know, Brandon, do you have any last points or any last things to say?
Nah, man, you hit it all. Accidents are going to happen. Be patient. And stay in diapers as long as possible because this is crazy. I'm losing my mind.
It is a lot, but I will say the one good thing, Brandon, is that pull-ups are cheap, but I will take 2 pull-ups a day versus however many diapers we were going through. So that's hopefully at least a win for us financially. And hopefully we're talking in the next podcast and we're both giving you guys an update that's positive on the potty training. But now it seems like it's a good time for you to hit us with your dad joke, Brandon.
Well, let me pull this up. So I didn't get a huge laugh from Kelsey, but I thought this joke was hilarious. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Jerry, I used to date a woman. It wasn't Kelsey, but I used to date a woman. But we only communicated on Twitter. Now she's my ex-girlfriend.
Nice. Topical.
I thought it was hilarious. Kelsey didn't think it was funny.
That's decent. It was all right. I liked it. I know thunder.
You know what? I got one more. All
right.
I was trying to do a potty training joke too, so we're gonna do this.
Okay.
What do flies at the bar politely say to another fly?
Buzz out.
Is this stool taken?
Oh.
Poop
No.
joke. Potty training.
Yep.
Topical.
It is. Well, on that note, we appreciate every single person listening or watching or however you're hearing us. If you haven't already, please like us on all our social media stuff. Please leave a review. We appreciate all the reviews we get. Tell your friends. Drop a line on a Reddit thread. Whatever you got to do. We like hearing from each and every one of you. I know there's a couple guys out there have mentioned to us lately that they are expecting soon or just had their babies. We like hearing all that too. It's like I said, this is created for dads. We by no means are experts, but we love talking about our kids and we love sharing our triumphs and failures with all of you guys. So hopefully you can learn something while we do that. But until next time, I'm Jerry, joined here as always by Brandon, and you've been listening to Dad Jokes.